Hey hackers, Blue Cosmo from CCS here. Welcome back to the channel. Today I want to finally start teaching you guys how to develop some malware. Now today we're going to be using the language of VisualBasicScript. If you don't know what that is, it is basically just my first programming language, but it's also a programming language that is native to Windows. That's really important when it comes to malware development, because we can't be using languages like Python where there is no native interpreter to run it, right? If we were to develop malware in Python, then we would have to find some way to get the user to install it, or only target users that have it installed, for example, right? So that's not ideal for malware. So we will be using languages like Visual Basic, PowerShell, Batch, etc. to develop malware, right? So let me go ahead and teach you how I learned and start teaching you guys some of the stuff that I know about, right? Anyways, let's go ahead and get started. To do so, you will need a Windows virtual machine. Please do not develop and create and do all that fun stuff for malware on your bare bones metal machine. Please get a virtual machine. It's not rocket science. So many tutorials on how to make Windows virtual machines, and I will go ahead on mine, right? So let's go ahead and open up PowerShell. The only thing you will need is PowerShell and a text editor, maybe even a browser to do some research and stuff, but you should be fine all the most, right? So let's go ahead, I'll zoom in a little bit so that way you guys can get that beautiful view, and we'll go ahead and make a directory called malware for this little series we're doing, right? So we have our malware directory. We can change directory into our malware, and whoops, hello, what is going on here? And does Control-L not work on Windows? Huh, that's so weird. All right, anyways, let's just clear like normal people and make a new directory for Visual Basic. So we'll call this Visual Basic and go ahead and cd into our Visual Basic directory. I keep forgetting Control-L does not work. Clear. So let's go ahead and create some files, right? The first file we will create is our hello world .VisualBasicScript, right? We can go ahead and open this up in Visual Studio Code or whatever text editor you prefer, right? So we can have our hello world open up in Visual Basic. Now, the first concept I'm going to be teaching you guys about malware through VisualBasicScript is, well, first of all, why we use VisualBasicScript, right? Alright hackers, so let's check out some of the cool stuff that you guys have been putting in the self-promo section of the Discord server. If you want to join the Discord server, it will be linked in the description as always, so you guys can join that. But let's go ahead and check out some of the cool stuff you guys have been throwing on there. VisualBasicScript serves as a great language to use to assist in your malware activities, right? VisualBasicScript, although we can't do complete full-fledged malware things on it, it works great in association with Bash, PowerShell, and it allows you to do so much more. For example, we can do keystroke injection, we can find special folders, run through the run box, all of which I will be showing you in this video, right? So VisualBasicScript is great. So let's talk about the first concept, which is keystroke injection, right? You may have heard about the USB rubber ducky, and you're probably going to be a lot better off watching this video knowing about the about basic computer programming concept, things like keystroke injection, other security concepts. Please get familiar with basic computing before you just jump into malware, right? Because you can get very lost very quickly. But I will try to make everything as simple as I can to make you guys understand. Hopefully that made sense. Now, let's go ahead and talk about keystroke injection. If you don't know what keystroke injection is, it's basically a concept where we can inject keystrokes onto the computer. Let me show you. So keystroke injection is as simple as typing out hello world, right? But instead of having the user type it out, we have some other program type it out. Typically, we can see this through programs like, or tools like the USB rubber ducky, right? The USB rubber ducky is just a USB drive that's basically also a programmable keyboard, right? It can do anything a keyboard can do. So it can change your wallpaper, or it can install backdoors. It can steal your Wi-Fi passwords. It can install keyloggers, all of which I've done on this channel. So make sure to subscribe and check those out. But when we look at that, right, the USB rubber ducky is a $50 piece of hardware, right? And not everybody's going to be dumb enough to plug a USB drive into their computer, so we'll have to do it for it. But the thing with malware is that we're not there. Malware needs to be on the software level, right? It's malware, it's malicious software. So what we're doing with malware, or what we're going to be doing with VisualBasicScript, is finding a way to do similar processes through VisualBasicScript, right, on the software level. So let's go ahead and explore this concept, right? So we have our hello world VisualBasicScript file. The first thing we're going to do is do something called a set command. Set key equals, actually, we'll do set ws is equal to our create object. I'm going to explain all of this in 1 second. Create object wscript dot shell. All right, so you see we have this line. The first thing we have here is the set command. The set command, let me make this a little bit bigger for you guys. Cool. So we have our set command. Our set command basically just assigns a value to a property, right? This ws right here is our property, and we're assigning this value. Now this value is the function, right, that's creating this object of a wscript.shell. In Windows, we have two types of these scripts, right? We have wscript and we have cscript. wscript is GUI based, GUI, graphical user interface, right? So something like this window you see here, something like Notepad, something like Firefox, they're all graphical user interfaces, right? They have an interface that is, graphical. We can interact with it. It has visuals. That is what wscript is. cscript is something completely different. cscript works the same way, but it works on the level of the command line, right? So something like PowerShell or something like the CMD, right? Or command line, right? It all works through the command line interface, right? So it all depends on what you're trying to do with your malware. But for right now, we're going to be interacting with the wscript shell. Eventually, we may cover into topics of cscript as well, right? So now that we have that ws set, let's go ahead and start sending keys. The first thing we can do is a simple ws.send keys, right? We're basically accessing this method of the wscript shell. And what we're going to do here is simply type out a string of hello world exclamation point, right? The basic command. So if we go ahead and / our hello world.vbs, when we run it, you'll see it outputs this hello world, but it didn't actually output it, right? It's not printing it. It's typing it out on our keyboard, right? This hello.vbs ran, and then it typed it out. It controlled our keyboard basically and typed it out. Now it may not look like it may look like it printed it out. So in order to give you a better visual of this, let's go ahead and have this type it out on Notepad, right? So real quick, to make comments, we can use a single quote. So I'm going to basically says, injects keystrokes, right? Cool. Just that way you guys know what these things are doing when you guys are watching. And right, this is basically our set property, which assigns our wscript shell to our ws object. All right, cool. So that's what all this is doing. Let's go ahead and have this open up Notepad. So what we can do with our wscript is actually open up the run box. Now, if you are not familiar with the run box, you can hold down your Windows key, hit R, and you have the run box available to you. So you can open programs like notepad.exe and write through the run box, right? So we can open up any file that's in System32. We can run PowerShell. We can do all these things through the run box. So we can actually control the run box right through VisualBasicScript. So how can we do this? Well, we take our wscript and then we do a .run method. Our .run is basically accessing that run box, right? It takes a string argument and then we'll put whatever we want to run in that run box. For the example of this video, we'll just do a notepad.exe, and we can go ahead and I'll leave a comment here saying, we can just say run box, right? So now we're opening up the run box. What we need to do is delay. So what we can do is delay 0.5 seconds, right? So it takes about half a second for the notepad to open up. So let's go ahead and do wscript .sleep. Now notice how I'm using the wscript and not our ws object, right? We're using wscript itself to create a sleep function or sleep method, right? So we're going to sleep for half a second. So seconds are measured in milliseconds in most computing languages, right? So 1 second would be 1,000 milliseconds, which means half a second would be 500 milliseconds, right? So now we have our wscript delay. So now we open up run our notepad.exe. We're waiting half a second, and now we're typing out our hello world program, right? So let's go ahead and do that, right? So let's go ahead, go to our PowerShell, and if we run our hello world.visualBasicScript, it'll open up Notepad and type out on our keyboard, hello world. You can see that I didn't type that out. I'm not typing that out. I'm not that quick. And it's not printing out the words hello world. It is literally going through our keyboard and typing out hello world. So that's great. Now we can, scare people and say, don't leave your keyboard open, or we can type random messages and stuff. But let's go ahead and start getting into the more advanced topics about VisualBasicScript. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the next section of our video, which is going to be a typer, right? So we're going to talk about certain loops and such. It still annoys me how you can't do a Control L in PowerShell, but it's whatever. So Control L, that's so weird to me. I'm so sorry. Anyways, let's go ahead and start talking about our next section. So let's go ahead and echo out a new file, and we'll call this file typer.visualbasicscript. All right. Now we can go ahead, go to our Cosmodium, and see that we have our VisualBasicScript file here. The only thing you really need to import is just copy this top line right here to have our WScript shell, because I'm too lazy to type that out all over again. So let's go ahead and start talking about how we can loop typing. In fact, what I probably should have done is just made a copy of this file, but you know what? I'm lazy, so I'm forgetful. Not perfect, but so I am going to kind of just delete all of these comments here, because you guys should understand what those are doing now, right? So let's say we open up the notepad.exe file, all right, and we wait half a second for it to open. Let's say if we want to type out hello world multiple times, how can we do that? Well, we have something called for loops. Now, the for loop, I kind of like to think about it as for each, right? So for each item within a certain range, we can do something, right? So let's say for each number, well, first of all, we had to make a number variable. So let's go ahead and use dim. Dim is how we create variables in VisualBasicScript. And we'll call this dim number I equals 1, 2, 5. There you go. So now we have our for loop. So it's basically saying for I for iteration from 1 to 5. So it's going to do for the first number from 1 to 5, to the second number to 1 to 5, to the third number, all the way till it hits 5. So basically it's going to do this section of code 5 times. Now, what we need to do in order to denote that we're done here is to hit a next. Basically, it's going to do for this, and then it's going to hit this next, and then go back to the start of the loop, right? That's how we can have loops within VisualBasicScript. Cool. So let's go ahead and run this in our terminal, right? So we can do /typer.visualbasicscript. It will open up Notepad and then type in hello world 5 times. Now, if you wanted to have a delay here as well, we could totally add a delay here in the middle, just by hitting tab, delete, and then go ahead, and you can see that every half second it's typing out hello world to our Notepad. Cool. So now we have more advanced level stuff with keystroke injection, because with the USB rubber ducky, for example, it just emulates a keyboard. But with Visual Basic, we can have a logic, right? We can have conditionals and such. We don't use conditionals too often within VisualBasicScript, but you can obviously use them. I'm not going to cover them in this video, but feel free to do your own research on how to use conditionals, right? So now that we have a for loop, we can also have something called like an infinite loop, right? So I'm not going to actually run this because I don't want to infinitely run this on our computer, but however, we can do a do loop, and you can see that this will basically do this and then hit the loop, and it'll just keep doing it over and over again, right? It's basically like an infinite loop. So that's how we can have infinite loops within our code. You can run this and it will just type out hello world infinitely. I'm not going to do it because it's going to be kind of annoying to try to stop it, so we're just going to go back to our nice and easy for loop. Cool. Let's go ahead and start talking about our ability to interact with other keys of the keystroke injection phase, right? A new file, we can echo an empty string to, whoops, all right, there you go, to a file. We'll call this file web.vbs for VisualBasicScript, right? And then open up our web.vbs. Now, the only thing we actually need is this top variable right here. So we can go ahead and paste that into here. and start working with this, right? So let's say we want to make an application or a piece of malware, right? We're going to eventually get more and more advanced with this, that opens up a web browser and goes to cosmodiumcs.com, just for an example, right? Let's go ahead and start, doing that. So the first thing we would need to do is use the run box, right? So wscript.run, and we can run our Firefox in the run box. Now, if you have Chrome installed, you can use Chrome. If you want to use Edge, you can use Edge. Firefox is the browser that I have on my virtual machine, so I will be using Firefox to do so. Cool. So now that we run the Firefox application, it might take a second, right? So we need to do wscript.sleep, and let's wait for about 800 milliseconds for Firefox to open up. Cool. Now that Firefox should be opened up by then. In fact, it might take a little longer because it's the internet. It can be weird. So we'll wait 1 second. Cool. Now what we want to do is search for cosmodiumcs.com. Now, if we open up Firefox, typically the search tab should be open for us, so we should be able to type with ease. However, sometimes it won't be activated, right? If I click here, we can't type. So even if the user's interacting with it too, and if they click off, it will stop typing for us, right? Because it's injecting keystrokes, right? It's not controlling what applications we're on and such. So what we need to do is hit the Alt D. By hitting Alt D, it automatically opens up the search box, whether it is clicked on or not, right? So how can we hit Alt D in VisualBasicScript, right? So we can do our ws.sendKeys, but in here we would do a %sign. The %sign represents like the Alt key, right? So we can do an Alt and then the letter D. So then you can do send keys Alt D, and this will enter a new key. So in here I can do %sign equals Alt, just to give you some clarification on how that works. Cool. So now that we hit Alt D, we can wscript send keys, and then we can search up cosmodiumcs.com. Cool. So now that we typed it in, all we have to do is hit the enter key. So we can do wscript.send keys, and then in order to hit an actual key, like one of the modification keys or buttons, we can simply, in the quotes, put a curly brace, the name of the key in all caps, and then close the curly brace, right? So you can do this with enter. If you wanted to do like F1, you would do capital F1, and that will open up the Cosmodium CS website, right? So let's go ahead and ./web.visualbasicscript, and we can see that it will open cosmodiumcs.com, and then there you go. It opens up cosmodiumcs.com in our web browser. Cool. So let's add some more functionality to this, right? Let's say if we wanted to, quickly, I'll go ahead and note that you can use curly braces to denote keys, right? Also, just to clarify, let's say if you wanted to put a %sign in a string, you would have to put it in these curly braces because the %sign currently represents the Alt key. So if you want to put an actual %sign, put it in between curly braces. So currently it opens up the cosmodiumcs.com website. Let's say if we wanted to make a new tab and close the Cosmodium CS tab. How can we do that? So in order to make a new tab, we can do wscript.send keys, right? And then what we're going to do is Control T. So to hit Control, we can hit our up caret, which is Shift 6, and then the letter T, right? So Control T. I'll quickly, of course, denote that that represents the control sign. So this equals Control. Cool. So now that we hit Control T, we have a new tab open, which means we need to go back to the previous window to close it. So we can do wscript send keys, and then in here we can do a Control Tab. Control Tab will take you back to the other windows, right? It allows you to cycle and navigate through windows. So now we can do a Control Tab and basically go back to the window that is cosmodiumcs.com, and then wscript.send keys, a Control W to close the window, right? So Control W, and now we can close the window. What I'm quickly going to do is after we go on cosmodiumcs.com, I'll just do a wscript sleep just to show that we are on the website, and then what the next process is going to do that we just did. All right. Whoops, I need to do a wscript.sleep. There you go. So we can go ahead and try this process again. Control W, and then cool. So there you go. It opens up CosmodiumCS.com. It will wait 5 seconds before making a new tab and and deleting the other one. Cool. But yeah, so now we have the ability to perform keystroke injection on Windows computers through VisualBasicScript. So other than that, make sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so that way you guys will be informed when I upload more malware related videos and how to use VisualBasicScript in more advanced ways, right? Until then, I will see you guys in the next one. So stay happy, stay positive, and as always, happy hacking.